All right. Sorry. Apologies. All right. I couldn't see anything on my screen because I wasn't sharing anything. Good morning, everyone. All right. If you're here, let me know in the chat. Today we're building an Omniverse app from scratch. Well, kind of from scratch. I'm going to use we're building, I've been working on the soundboard extension. We're going to turn that into just a standalone app now. So I don't think I'll be writing too much code, but it'll be a lot of setting up the scaffolding for the app and tweaking it and all that. So hello Nandu, hello Funky Boy, hello Kyle. Okay, let's get into it, I think. Got a good group of people here. Okay. So let's pull up the template here. Okay. This is the Kit app template. Let me link y'all to this here. This is what we released, I think about a month ago. Yeah, almost a month ago. And this is everything you need to get started building apps for Omniverse. It has some example apps that you can learn from. An error occurred. Oh no. I jumped off of Wi-Fi while, I'm sorry, VPN. I think we're good, right? Okay, we're good. Yeah, I jumped off of VPN just as I was starting the live stream, so that didn't help either. So yes, everything you need. It has some sample apps, and we're gonna use this to start, and I'll walk you guys through some of the different parts of this repo that you'll need to touch in order to set up your own app. And there's also documentation. This great video by Ken is also a really great introduction to just understanding the repo and what everything does and how to get started. But I do think that today will be useful for just seeing the practical, I'm starting with a template now, what do I do first and what do I do second and all that. So I have already cloned this and named it Kit App Soundboard. And other than that, this is the default start. And I'm going to open up a terminal here. Let me know if you have any questions as we go through this. It's not going to be super intensive. So, just ask any questions that come up and I can stop and talk about it. So I've opened up a terminal and there are two scripts here. There's the build and the package. Yes, this recording will be available on this channel. So first thing you want to do is run build.batch or shell or the shell script if the bash script if you are on Linux. And that is going to do a bunch of stuff. You can see here that it's linking to an Omniverse app. It's doing it's grabbing a bunch of tools that we used in order to do the build and linking on all that. So now it created these 3 underscore folders. And if I come into this build, there is a directory for each platform that you want to release on. There's a release directory and then in here are the batch files for the apps. So there's actually 3 apps in here. There should be. Let's take a quick look here. So yeah, there's my name, my app.batch, the editor, and the viewport. So if I go ahead and run one of these, it'll take a little bit of time for the first run to get everything going. So that wasn't too bad at all. And so there's the first app. This one's actually fairly light. It just has this one window here. So let's try the editor. So you'll notice I didn't open up code today. I don't necessarily need it. I might open it if I want to look at some of the in-app docs. But for the most part today, I'm just going to be working straight off of VS Code and then whatever app I launch. So here's this, my first editor. And just if you didn't catch the live stream last week with Damien, I'll show you that the basic workflow would be, here's the source directory. And here are my configurations for my kit applications. So right now I'm working with the editor. And any changes that I make here, yeah, I need to relaunch, right? These are foundational changes to the app. I'm including new extensions or removing extensions or changing startup settings like the app name or the window size and all that. So any changes here, you absolutely need to relaunch, but any changes that I make in my extensions, like this window, let's go in here, change this to right, it's called my window right now. Save that file now, and it relaunched it with my migrate window. It undocked it because of the way that the layout is performed for this app, but you could have it fixed if you needed to. And in fact, at this point, I think it should actually respect that position now. No. But yeah, that's totally fixable. So yeah, so that any updates that I make here, I save and it's hot reloaded. So what you can actually do is if you don't know, is it possible to change the menu items? Yes, absolutely. We'll get into that today, hopefully. This won't be a long series. I'm hoping to knock out everything today. I might add in one more session to talk about some kind of experimental stuff. This is, we just released this. We tried to make it work as closely to how developers within NVIDIA work, but there are some Git workflows that I want to experiment with, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. So yeah, so if I wanted to, today I'm just going to be, I have an extension that I've already built and I'm just going to add it in here and set up my app. But if I wanted to, I could just develop my app and the extensions that it uses all within one place, right? And I can hot reload as I'm working, just like I was doing in Omniverse code. So I think that's a really great option, and I think you get the best of both worlds of the extension development that we've been showing and how great that is. But also you can work the same within your own custom app. So cool. So I think that's enough with the kind of showing the sample apps. What we can do now is go ahead and start setting up our own custom app. And you can see here that these are named my name, my app. So all three of these apps follow the same naming pattern as well as their extensions. So I'm just going to go ahead and hijack one of these apps to build my app from. And I think I'll just use the simple one since I'm not doing any viewport stuff or anything. Really, all I'm doing is I'm going to put in my soundboard window and just go from there. I do want to launch this one more time just to see what I'm going to do, because Nandu was asking about changing menu items. And so this is what this app looks like currently with its current window layout. Show, this doesn't do anything. And file open a file if you want. So so we'll see if we change those. If not, I can show you the asset converter app that I did and how I am doing menu changes there. Cool. So we're going to use that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do a search and replace. In fact, what I'll probably yeah, it's totally Damien on this one. All right, I'm just going to delete these here just to make my life easier as I rename this. I know I'm just renaming the ones that I care about. We can keep these, and that's it really. So now when we do the search and replace, we'll search for my name. And this my name is supposed to be a guideline for how you want to name your apps and extensions too. My name being some unique name that represents you as an individual or your company, and then some unique name for your app. But as long as the my name, that top level name is unique, the rest is less of an issue. So we're going to go into this pre-make 5 Lua. These pre-make 5 Lua files are what actually take care of all of the building. And you can see here that the 3 apps are defined. I'm only going to do one, and I'm going to call this Matty Codes Soundboard. So that one's done. Readmes I'm not too worried about right now, nor these documentation files. Here's my kit file. So I'm going to go ahead and edit this one, and I need to remember to go back and rename the kit file. Matty Codes. I don't know why I'm doing this manually. I could have done the replace, but we're halfway there at this point. And then this was the top level pre-make file. You can see there that it's at the root directory, and then each extension has a pre-make file as well. And these are telling, these are creating links to the build folder. So let me show you that bit. Not that one, this one. So build, Windows, release. And the reason that hot reloading works is because this apps folder is linking directly to the kit, to where my kit files were in the source directory. And also every extension has symbolic links to the folders within the source directory as well. I don't think that's going to show me the links, but yeah, that's basically what this is saying, is this local folder, my name, link it to create a new folder, called my name, and link it to the same named folder in the source directory. So that's what it's doing for those 5 links. And if we went into, I guess config is handled automatically, since you can't have an extension without that config folder. So that's what that's doing. We'll rename that Matty Codes. And same thing here in the setup.py. Or the setup extension. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Soundboard. Gotta save all these. And this extension. Cool. Yeah, basically you know, these extensions are already in good shape. At least the setup extension I'm gonna want and need. So I think this is a good starting point, is to just go through and rename these. Yeah, we should probably have a script to do this for you. But like I said, this is brand new, and we're still looking for feedback on what's good, what's not. I took a first pass at this internally, and I wasn't that bothered by this renaming step, especially since you're not going to do this that often. Cool. So everything should be renamed now. I'm going to close a bunch of these. There are now there are file system files that I need to rename as well, right? I edited the internal files, but I do have these folders that need to be renamed, unfortunately. So I'll rename this one medicodes.soundboard, and then the folders. Yes, absolutely. Good point, Funky Boy. And I think this default app, the app that I'm basing off of it, is already stripped of the RTX requirements. But if it's not, that's absolutely a good point, is that my app doesn't need any RTX features. So I should hopefully be able to build this and distribute it to non-RTX users. This is incredibly boring. I'm sorry, I didn't realize this would be this bad to watch. Soundboard. But at least you get, you know, you're not missing anything here. I could have started with this already done, but then this is probably a good place where folks might make a mistake. Okay, so I got I've done a replace inside of all of the files, and I've renamed the files and folders as well. So I think we're good. So theoretically now, I'm going to go ahead and blow away the folders that I have here, since there's going to be, I don't want any remnants of the old stuff. I probably shouldn't delete. I just need to delete the build. What? I'm not on Bash. Okay. And now we build. So if I did this right, the simple app should look exactly like what I had before. Just that window. So that build succeeded. I don't see a build folder. Yeah, I'm gonna blow everything away. Oh, now it shows up. Silly VS Code. It doesn't take that long to build, thankfully. What mistake did I make? So I deleted just the build folder, and I wasn't patient enough to wait for, and then I ran build. I wasn't patient enough to wait for VS Code to update itself. So the build folder was missing, and I said, you know what, I'm just gonna delete everything and do it again. And then just as I was deleting the compiler folder, the build folder finally showed up. So we should be good now. If I come over here and I do Medi codes, there's my batch file, and it's running. And you can see here that I did get an error. The placement of that window is based off of the layout file that it uses is looking, so that's why it failed. When I did the hot reload, I renamed the window, and the layout file, the layout function uses the window titles in order to arrange the windows. So when I did the hot reload, it did try to lay out that window again, and it didn't find that window because I had renamed it, and so it's still not finding that window. So it should still be there. It just didn't get auto laid out. So I should change that, right? My window. Cool. Now hopefully it should hot reload and not mess up the layout. Sweet. Okay, we're in good shape. Now I'm gonna go ahead and bring over my extension. I think this is a good time. So this is where I'm going to copy my extension. And this is what I want to explore probably next week, is I want to do GitHub or Git submodules. So I want to be able to link another repo into this repo so that any change, so that I can keep this code separate. I can have this extension and make it available so that others can use it in their apps, but also be able to include it in this repository and not have code duplication. Right now I'm pasting this in here, and it's going to be, hopefully I don't need to ever make any changes to this. But yeah. So I paste that in there. Oh, that's a terrible name for this extension, I just realized. So this extension is named exactly like my app. So I'm gonna have to fix that eventually. I'm not gonna do it today. What I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna replace this window code with the code from here. So here's my window. So I'm effectively renaming this extension that I built previously to Medicode soundboard window. Copy this over here. Okay, and if I had decided to drop a new extension, I would have had to make sure that I have a fresh pre-make 5 Lua file in here. But since I backed out on that, this is what we're going to do. What I'll probably do is I'm going to do an about window, and that way you guys can see the full workflow for creating a brand new extension. Cool, so this should just work, and the layout's going to fail because this window is named differently. But assuming that yeah, this is almost gonna work. The bit that I'm missing here is that there should be one more folder called window. And then all of this, I can just delete that. All of this needs to go in there. Cool, cool. It's going. I'm going to let this one run. VS Code tries to do, I think it's trying to like search to see if it needs to change any code based off of these files moving. And it always takes longer than it needs to, or I don't care about it, so I typically cancel it. Is that going to fix my errors? That was definitely an issue. Yeah, so that made the error go away. I'm not showing this window in any menu yet, so I will have to make that change. But it's there. Cool. Let me open up one more folder there because we can't go do anything without adding this window to the window menu. That's a bad. It worked fine when I was just developing it as an extension, but now I do need this for the app for a good experience here. Open with code. All right, so here's the asset converter. And I think it's going to be in this extension code. Yep. So I'm just going to copy some bits from here. In the extension itself. Soundboard. We're going to need OmniKit UI. And we're going to need all of this business here. So this is just nothing too fancy here. This is just code that we use all the time for adding a window to the menu and making sure that the checkbox in that menu stays in sync with the visibility of the window. So instead of constructing this window here, I'm going to do it here. Set the visibility changed function. All of that is fine. Ideally, I would rename that extension class, but that's okay. Cool, so that should do it. Let's rerun this one more time. No, why aren't you there? Oh, I don't have an extension ID here. Surprised I didn't get an error for that. Oh, I get that code hasn't run yet, I guess, is part of the reason. So I'm curious why that didn't show. Blah, blah, blah. Just want to make sure it's getting my code changes here. It doesn't look like it, does it? It's not showing up there. So what did I mess up here? Kit soundboard. I'm guessing that the symlinks broke when I did that change here. Extensions, soundboard window. It's there. Oh, and this needs to be renamed. Over here. The Python module is now has window in it. And I'll need to change those setting names at some point. Yeah, lack of foresight there with the naming of this extension. Okay, there it is. And there is an issue with that checkbox. I need to copy one more bit here. Is the window should have show and hide functions. These are very basic functions here just to set the visible property to true or false. Okay, I think we're good. That restarted. Now I can uncheck. No. Has no object. On what line is that erroring out? 42 show window. So this is going to come down to just a bad cleanup here with the callback functions. So I'm just going to restart that. I think that will sort it out on the restart. There we go. Sweet. This is some audio stuff that I have in my extension. Not a big deal. And now we can go ahead and lay out this window. So this is very simple here. I can just make it the front and center window here. I can hide the tab. And now I've got my basic layout. What's interesting though is that the V-grid behaves differently here than when I don't have it docked like that. When I don't dock it, it redraws immediately. So, little thing I should share with the team there. Kind of does a rescale, scaling, and then a relayout. No big deal. Let's see if this works. Yeah, sound check. Woohoo! Wait, I have a woohoo too. Sweet. All right, so extension's working as it should. We have our layout. So now what we can do is just we have this extension already preloaded, which is the quick layout. So if you were starting from the very beginning, if you decided not to use any of the basic apps as a template, I don't think I need this anymore. Then you wouldn't have the quick layout extension. So you'll be very likely want to make sure that is included. Hold up. Hold up, because the quick layout's not in there. It may be brought in through here. Setup.py. So kind of interesting. Usually we would define all of our dependencies here for our apps, but one more thing to check. So in the kit app, we would define our top level dependencies, which of the main features do I want? But in here, each extension can also have their own dependencies, right? So quick layout is brought in by this setup extension that we've made, and this setup extension takes care of setting up the app at the very end of the startup. So what's going to happen is it's going to execute kit with this kit file, and it's going to say, bring in these extensions, here's my window, here's my setup. But for the setup, I want this to be run last. So we use some arbitrary number 1000 just to make sure that it's the last in the order. When that happens, we can then, this code would run. And this is where it's saying, okay, well, go and grab, set up the window title for based off of the setting for the title and version and all that. And go and grab the layout file that was pre-saved and load that up and make sure that you set up the window the way that I want. So this is to make sure that all of the extensions have loaded so that you don't run into a situation where you're wanting to lay out the window and extension X that I want to have, say the viewport, I want it to have laid out in the middle. It hasn't loaded yet, so how am I going to lay it out? So that's what the reason for this. And then here we have the logic for setting up the menus. And here's Damien's helpful help and open file menu items. So let's set up that layout file. So I've already laid this out. I can go to layout, save layout the same way that you would for as if you were working in Create and you wanted to build some custom layout. And I'm going to put this into source, extensions, setup, and this extension has a layouts folder that we've added. And I'm going to call this, just call it we'll just call it default. The reason that I stopped for a sec is this extension was set up to use the app layout name setting, and so they designed it in a way that you could use this one extension for all three apps. And you come into the kit file, and you can see here that there's a setting called app layout, settings app layout, and they've given a name. So you can choose to just keep this set up, it doesn't hurt, or you can just hard code it into the setup extension since it's really custom to this app. So up to you. But this seems to, I haven't had a problem with this. It's just one additional setting here, and it's not confusing at all that it was used for 3 apps originally. We can change name of the app here. Version number is fine. And we got to change it here. All right, so this should look familiar to changing the settings in an extension. Description I'll deal with later. If I needed any other extensions, I would include them here, which I won't do for now, but if we add that help window, or the about window, then we can do that. Here is the setting that we were talking about, Funky Boy. It'll work on any GPU if you set compatibility mode to true. So that's already done for me. We don't need legacy mode for this. So I could in fact just, I may need this to set it to false by default. So I'll just leave it there. This is where it's looking for your extensions. So app is a token for where the kit file lives. And then it goes up a directory and then it looks for these locations. So if I came into here, this is where my kit file lives when it's built. So if I go up a directory, then it's going to go into this exts folder, this base app, exts, so on and so forth to find extensions. So everything that's available in this base app folder is available for my custom app. And this is something that I haven't talked about yet. These apps are based off of some Omniverse app. So The way that we're working with this for now is, and this may change in the future, but just to be able to provide this functionality now is our Omniverse apps. We have Create, Machinima, View, and they ship with extensions that with some pre-configured extensions. And instead of allowing you to currently pick and choose from the thousands of extensions that exist that NVIDIA has already built, which would be kind of a headache because you have to figure out which ones are compatible with what. We're starting with the base apps, which we know are compatible and they're built against a certain kit version. And you don't have to go through the trouble of building them yourselves or downloading the right version. And instead, you link to the app that's most suitable for what you're trying to build. So if you wanted pose tracking and all the fancy stuff that Machinima has, or audio to face, then you would link against that one, and that would give you the extensions that you need. And I think by default, this is handled by this ReboToml. Yep. And this is link app. If you remember from when we build extensions, there's this link app.batch that links our extension repository to an app so that we have access to the extensions for IntelliSense. This is kind of similar. We're just saying, hey, I just want create, and you could specify a specific version if you want to lock it to a version. But otherwise, it'll just use the latest that it finds on a end user's machine. And so when I run the build, that's what it was doing. If you remember, it did a link app, and it was linking against create because that's what I had specified. When we get to the packaging, then I'll show you why this is again relevant. But all you need to know for now is that when I built, it did create these links. These are the link symbols. And the base app one is the link to the latest create version that I have. So that's what I'm looking at here when I dig into it. You can see here it says Omni Create. So by that setting, if I can go ahead and add any dependencies for extensions to my custom app, and it would be pulling them from there. So any questions about that? Go ahead and shoot them over. All right, so we got our layout. This is another token. This is the path to this extension, and then we add the layouts folder there. You never manually change anything in the build section, no. So build should be entirely handled by just the build.batch. Yep, there's no reason to edit any file in here. Everything that you may want to edit should be in this source folder, or it's affected by the pre-make 5 Luas or the ReboToml. Good question. Here's where we set up the menu. We're adding menus, but you can also remove menus. So we should look at that. And I think we can move on to that step then. Because this stuff is just working, right? There's my edit mode. I can change these colors, right? And I can go ahead and get out of edit mode, close my app, and theoretically when I relaunch, all of that stuff should have been saved with my extension. So all of those settings are working. So that's super cool that you know, I didn't even have to think about that when I'm building this new app. It's the extension has all that logic, and it just works. And I can drop it into any other app, and it'll just work. The you know, extension design working just as it should. Cool. This is kind of just not going to mess with that. So let's talk about the menus. We can get rid of, sorry, before I forget, we can go into the setup and get rid of these files now, right? These are from the other one. You can try to read this if you want, but you know, it is human readable. But all it's doing is setting up positions and for each of the windows and where it should be docked and all that. So cool. Now I'm gonna look at my converter app because I don't remember these bits. So it is good right now to have these references because some of these bits they're not difficult, but they're definitely not something that I remember how to do off the top of my head. Blah. Okay. Here I have the same setup. And in this case, you can see here, some extensions will actually force, they're going to add their menus, right? So I may want some extensions loaded, but I don't want to expose everything that they provide. So in this case, for the asset converter, I needed some feature from that adds a create menu or an item to the create menu, but I didn't want my users to use that. So so I went ahead and just with this menu layout extension, you can actually just tell it to remove entire menus or submenus. So this is a good one, right? Let's take a look at here. I want to get rid of the quick save and quick layouts, for example. Right now I have in this window layout, I don't want these for whatever reason. So I can go ahead and do the same here. So we're actually going to enable this bit. And in the window menu, make sure I got this one right. In the window menu, there is a submenu called layout, and it has these two items. And I need another parenthesis and a quote there. Cool. So if I save that, I don't know if these actually hot reload. So that's why I've been closing it just to be on the safe side. But now these menu items are removed. Let's test the hot reload here. See how good it is. I'm gonna save that. Yeah, no, I didn't add it back in. So yeah, for these menu changes, some stuff just runs only on startup, right? Or on app startup. So add that back in. This menu layout is driving me crazy. That no window one is before file. Let's see if I can fix that one. I think I just need to add a menu layout.menu file in here. And that will do it. Nope. So this one is new to me. Layout menu items, current layout priority. So those are shortcut keys. Yeah, I mean that could have been one behavior, right? In this case, it just didn't do anything. Unless you're right, maybe I need to remove file and then add file. The other option is I can. These may not be compatible, and I need to just add them separately. So this one's adding file open there. This one just works, right? This one should have the same issue theoretically. Go, go, go. See, file's in the right spot for that one. But I think this may be because this one uses a lot more extensions, and it probably has another extension that's fixing that layout for me. So let's take a quick look here. Editor, menu, add item. For whatever reason, I added the help menu last in this one. I wonder. And this one should just be soundboard. Let's leave that there because I'm curious what that did. File open. Nope. Let's take a look to see what this actually does. So this will actually let you add or kind of relay out. So one of the things that we're doing here is that we're almost moving a menu from one place to the other. So layout, save layout, we're adding this new item, and all it's doing is it's exactly the same as window layout, save layout that the quick layout extension adds. So that's what that source is there. Yeah, I might need to dig into this a little bit more. Add the layout menu items. What's this one? That's for the reset, I think. With the hotkeys. Go ahead and add this to the shutdown. All right, I'll need to find out. I thought I understood this better than I did, better than I do. Will that let me reorder it? Yeah, so that reorder worked the way that I wanted. But I don't know how to reorder the top level menu items. The only thing that I can think of does menu have a source? Menu does have a source. One more attempt here. Nope, that added it last. Cool. All right, I'll figure that out later. That definitely made it worse though. Okay, let's add that help menu because that's really all there is left. We'll add it as a new extension. Just to go through that step one more time. And I think that's all I want to do. I don't even want a file menu for this app, but I do want to get that right. So we're going to call this thing about, show about. And I may not even go that route, but let's go ahead and add that extension. We don't need this anymore. And yeah, MIDI codes, soundboard. Let's just create a new one with code. Just so we get all the files created and named correctly and all that. Come on, come on, come on. All right, new extension, template project. Minimize that. Go to C. Extension projects. I'm gonna call this one it really doesn't matter. I'm just gonna move it and ditch it after I've done it. Soundboard about. Cool. Can open this one. See. And soundboard about. And then that's the code with me. This is the one that we're working with. Source, extensions, and then we can copy this on over. Sweet. Now, like I said, we need to let me just kill this thing. It's gonna close that. There we go. We need to add the pre-make file for this one, right? This one doesn't have a pre-make file, so we can copy it, paste it into here, and then this pretty much works. Actually, it works exactly. So thankfully, I don't need to change anything. But if my extension was made by somebody else, I would, rename this one. Or if I had any other folders that I need to make sure get packaged into my app, like the layouts folder that the setup window has, you want to make sure that you add those. If you don't add those, they will not get packaged. So now that I've added a new extension, I must run the build.batch, because if I try to run my app right now, it doesn't know anything about this new extension. So when I run the build, it's going to do its thing. and it succeeded. And if I let this refresh or force it, where are you at? There's my about in the build. So that's pretty good so far. We have a window here. We don't want to show it on startup. We really want all of the same logic. In the about. Something like that. We don't care about this for this one. We'll sort that out in a moment. Sort that out in a moment. And we'll get rid of that. So now theoretically, this one has a much better auto named. Though I don't like my name in the front of that. Auto named extension class. Cool. All right, let's add a window here. New file. Window.py. And I suppose says a lot of stuff. Here. And I can get rid of a bunch of stuff here. But it was just nice to start with this because it gives me the structure. Don't need this crazy function. I do need that crazy function. Don't need that. Don't need the config manager or the sounds. And I suppose we can keep the extension ID, but not really necessary. And we're going to call this about is fine. Do I need anything else here? Probably not. Cool. Now in here, we build a frame with a VStack, and we can just do a label here. Hello about. And we get rid of the rest. Okay, fairly simple. Then over here, I think I called this about. So I need to do from .window import out. I should probably call that window. Okay, and we're going to call this about soundboard. That's probably really big. And we don't need this. And we don't need any of that. Okay, let's launch it. If I did this correctly, it should show up in the window menu now. I don't know why I built, I'm sorry. I meant to just run the app. Okay, no errors. It didn't show up in the window menu. Interesting. Oh, because I haven't added this to my kit file, right? I haven't told my app about this. Yeah, it exists here, but I'm not using it. So how do I do that? I go into apps, come into here, and we need to add a new dependency. Window, and about. Save that. I don't need to rebuild. I can just rerun. Build folder hasn't changed, just the files that I'm linking to. And there is my about soundboard. And here's my new window. Okay, but that's not what I wanted. I wanted to put it here. And that's still saying that help is coming. But help is here. Well, not help, but about. So this is where we can do the rerouting. So I can add another menu. Help, about, source equals, what did I call this thing? Window. About soundboard. Okay, so if I did this correctly, I don't need this anymore. Just comment it out for now. I think I got an error there. No, maybe not. But the help menu did not show up. Could have sworn I saw red. Menu help not found, create with, menu index controls, menu order. So perhaps I do need it. I have two abouts though. So there's mine, and that rerouting worked correctly, right? And then here is the other one that isn't going to do anything. I'm going to need to get the right information about this, because at this point I'm just guessing. But we can confirm next week. But at least I mean that's what I intended. That's what I intended, except for the file menu. But I was able to remove the other one and add in this new one. So let me take a look at the source for this one. Because for this one, I just added a new one. I added a whole new menu here, I think. And it didn't complain. I wonder if it's because I'm adding them here. That's probably what it is. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. No, I'm not adding save layout though. So these are working. I don't know how these end up working. Cool. Well, I will have an answer for next week. Let's do a little bit of layout here. What should I do here? I guess we should do a nice soundboard app style. Right, something like that. Looks terrible. But we can add a little UI spacer here. Did I do that correctly? These need to be height 0, that's why. Cool. Something like that. At this point, I messed up the, I probably need to restart because I've messed around with the menu too much. So that's working. App's working. Let's package it. Okay. So I have everything that I want. My extension has all the features that I want. I think I'm missing a, did I forget to save a file here? Maybe not. Okay. And I'm ready to go. So this is where, again, I want to make sure I'm linking to the right app. I mean, at this point, I should have tested it and confirmed that the app that I'm building has all the extensions that it needs using the Create app. So I'm happy with that choice, but I could use code or whatever. And so now all I need to do is run package.batch. Right. So this whole time as I was developing, all I need is build.batch. At this, when I'm ready to share this with somebody else, or when I'm ready to test this as if somebody else were to use it in the wild, this is where I would package it. And here it wrote the package to build packages. So here we have that. I'm gonna go ahead and open that up. And it's a zip file, right? From there, I can go ahead and, so I would give this to a user. I would tell them, hey, go ahead and here's my app, download it. Awesome. And I would provide them with instructions as well. we extract all of that, and we tell them, okay, now go ahead and extract this folder. And once you have that, once it's extracted, run the link app.batch. Make sure you have Omniverse launcher installed and the create app launcher installed, then run link app.batch. And after they've done that, I tell them, and once you've linked it, go ahead and run my app batch file. And that's going to go ahead and run this. And what's interesting is that it's using the settings that I had saved from create. So that is potentially a bug with our app, because this should be portable, and it should, yeah, that's exactly what happened. So here's a teaching lesson. Kit provides, the Kit documentation says that if you add this kit.portable, it's just an empty file. I think it can be an empty file. I'm not sure what that ... / is. We can look at the documentation really quick. PyKit. Oops. Where was this going to be? Creating Kit apps. So portable mode. Basically, it changes the locations of the data, cache, logs, all of that to be right next to or contained within the app folder. So in my opinion, I'll need to confirm with the devs, but in my opinion, that should have been carried through with the app. It should have taken that portable, and my app should have its own settings and logs and all that. It should not be associated with the create app as it currently is. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. Have I started working with Modulus? I haven't used Modulus. I'm not, I've never used Modulus, but I'm curious about it. I don't think I'm smart enough for Modulus. It's very sciencey. What am I looking for here? Here. Did it copy it? No. All right, we're going to go up here. Source apps, copy this kit portable, and put it into my package. And you want to put that right next to your kit file. So now when I run, there we go. Now my settings are, these are the default settings. If I make any changes here, right? Exit edit mode, close that, relaunch. These are stored with my app itself, and it should not affect my create session or anything else. So let's see where it's putting that. Here is data folder with my settings, my user config specific for this app, and cache folder. I think I was putting my, I was putting my data here, right? This is my user config that I created. And this has my custom colors. So that's how I knew that it wasn't working the way that I expected. So I will confirm on that with the devs, but I think it makes sense. Cool. Any questions? That's all I have to show for today. Next, I'm gonna sort out the issues that I had with my extension naming, which is unfortunate. But I'm gonna rename my source extension in my other repo to include window, and I'm going to next week I want to try to use Git submodules so that I can keep my app separate from my extensions, and I can then deploy my extension by itself if anybody wants to use it within another app, but also be able to incorporate it with my app repo. And if I want to, ideally, hopefully, if I'm understanding Git submodules correctly, I can actually make changes to my my window extension, and then I can commit those changes in directly within that. But both repos are nested, so I can actually make changes, commit it to the extension repo, and then also commit changes to my app repo, all from the same folder structure. So I think that's going to be super handy for this sort of workflow. So I want to test that out. And I will have a definitive answer on how this menu layout stuff works, because I made a mess of that. Questions? Yeah, so Nandu, hopefully that gives you an idea of at least how some of the menu stuff works, and next week I'll have the definitive answer on how to clean that up and have the right control, because I obviously don't know what I'm doing. But this is definitely the approach that we want to take for reconfiguring the menu items that extensions may set up themselves at first, but then this setup.py, we wanted to rearrange it custom for our app, whether it's removing things that aren't necessary for the workflow that we're designing, or adding things or moving them around. What are my thoughts about when you should go for app versus extension? So today, if I had to, I would start with extension, and because we have a path for deploying that's much more streamlined, and so that you can get that out to a wider range of users, right? Today, if you make an app and you want to distribute it to other people, you can. We've made that package and linking path, but it's not where we want to be for that. So that's why I would stay away from. I would start with an extension. But if I'm building something internally for my company, I would absolutely, as soon as I see that I have a workflow that would benefit from just having a standalone app with a streamlined workflow, I would jump right on it, because that setup is going to be much easier, right? Every you have control over more control over how it gets to your users. You can put it somewhere on the network, and everybody can have access to it immediately. You just give them a shortcut to it or whatever. So yes, if I were doing internal apps, this is totally amazing, and reminds me a lot of what I had in other in previous workplaces for building custom internal apps, especially 3D apps. Like, this is where Omniverse definitely shines, and if you as companies are starting to build, trying to adopt new 3D workflows, this is going to be a lifesaver for a lot of people that don't have the time or experience for the R&D to build a system like this. So so those are my current thoughts on that. Any other questions? Good question. All right, so we have developer office hour on Friday. We have the winter challenge live stream tomorrow or today at 2. Check that out. Jen actually made a really fun extension for that. So encourage you all to check it out. I said 2, that's Eastern time. So that would be 11 Pacific. And what else? That's about it. For sure, come back next week for same time for the second part of this. I think the GitHub workflow is going to be interesting and useful for you all. So it is a little experimental, but I'm confident in that it is going to help some folks be able to develop with more flexibility. All right. Thank you for coming. See you hopefully on Friday for Developer Office Hour. Bye-bye.